Jake here, time for a shop tour. A few weeks ago, myself and a couple friends built this resin room. This is what this room right here is for, to cast resin. It's temperature controlled. It's clean in there. I'm gonna soundproof it. There's all kinds of stuff that's gonna happen in there. The video for that is below. But while we were building that, this shop got destroyed, and I had years of just throwing things here and there. A lot of cleanup needed to happen. So after I cleaned it up, I figured, let's do a shop tour. I haven't done one of those in a while. So as we go along, I'll mention videos and stuff. Anything I mention will be in the description box below, so go down there and check that out. If it's your first time here, go ahead and subscribe. Lots of projects coming up. What we're gonna do is we're gonna start at the door as you walk in, and we're gonna go around and do the whole wood shop, and then we'll get in the resin room and we'll talk about that. So let's do this. Right as I walk in the door, there's a piece of hardboard here. This is for a future project. Right behind that is a foam insulation pad. I have a track saw. I lay it on the floor to cut sheet goods with, and I'll talk about that in a minute. And this Frankenstein right here is a Grizzly 2 horsepower dust collector. It's the one with the metal arm right there instead of the flex hose. When I first got this, I figured it would be better, but the cost was probably double what the Harbor Freight is, and I don't know if it was worth it or not. But it's done a great job for me. There's 70 feet of pipe in here that goes all the way to the last machine, and it picks up all the dust. So I don't know what more you can ask for. I don't regret doing this at all. And this whole thing with the Oneida Super Dust Deputy and all that is probably cheaper than a Cyclone that's already built. So just keep that in mind. And right as you come in here, I have some slabs stickered up. The one on the bottom is a 3-inch thick white oak, and that's going to be for a future project that's a super cool special project, so stay tuned for that. This right here is a flattening jig for woodpeckers. This is something that I'll talk about this a little bit. This is something, it's like a luxury item. You can build them out of wood or things like that. This is going to be super nice. We know what happened in the last year or whatever, stimulus and things like that. I spent my stimulus checks in the shop, so this is one of those luxury items I wouldn't have been able to get. So stimulus number 2 is this Woodpeckers Flattening Jig. It's going to be a future project unboxing, and that takes us to our next thing. Is this table over here is going to become a flattening jig table. I guess first off, I need to talk about these tables. These are 2x4 basic tables, and they're super simple. They come with the plastic legs, and it's pretty much pocket hole screws right here all the way down, and it's super easy. I bought all these tables when I first started. I needed something simple, and I needed tables right now, so this was the solution. Now, the price of 2x4s right now, probably not the best idea, but these things, as you can see over the years, cutting boards and scraps, these walnut and maple, and there's some mahogany and cherry down there. It's real good for storing things. I don't have normal walls in here to hang things on and things like that. So one thing I did learn by cleaning the shop up is that I need to be able to get all the way around the table so that I could get to everything. A lot of times the tables sit up next to the wall, and then things get lost back there. So I've kind of learned to strategically place things around the table so that you can get to them when you need them, and you'll see that over here at the table saw table. But this table right now houses a planer and joiner. I have a scroll saw up here, and I also have a project I'm working on, yin yang table. It's going to be pretty cool. The Woodpeckers jig is going to go up here. I'm going to unbox it, put it up here, set it up to flatten slabs with. My long-term goal for a joiner and planer is to have freestanding ones. This is what I have right now. Dust collection's over here. It works just fine. So next up. Now, I made this sanding table years ago. It has a downdraft. See the dust collection coming in the back, and there's a big wedge in there. It's all airproofed, and then I have this pegboard up here, and then I also have like Craig dogs and stuff to hold things in place. These sanders, I have these hoses that go right into the table, so that provides dust collection as well as dust collection going down in the table. It works incredibly well for what I did, and is super cool. So this is pretty much a sanding station. And one of the things I found out in the last year or so is I just keep a bunch of sandpaper in these totes. They're pretty cool. I'll put a link to it down below. But it's super nice to take. There's two ways of doing things: taking your work to your table or taking yourself to your work. I'm trying to do both ways sometimes, so I can take things over here to sand it, and then I can grab that and go sand things wherever I want to. Over here in the corner, I have a ton of burls, and most of them are from Worldwide Burl. They're over here. I'm going to figure out wood storage in a second, and we'll get to that over here on this other side. Clamps, clamps, clamps. You never have enough clamps. These are Grizzly clamp racks, and I just used the roll around thing for the dust collector, and I bolted this stuff down and kind of welded it a little bit. I can roll this anywhere in the shop. It's pretty convenient. You never have enough clamps. Now I have two bandsaws. They're both the same model, G05 13P Grizzly. They're the Polar Bear series, which is pretty much their anniversary edition. These are awesome, and the reason why is when I first started this, I was doing a lot of work on a bandsaw, and I had a horrible table saw, and I was scared of it. So I had a thick blade in one and a thin blade in the other, so I would do shapes on one, straight cuts on the other one. Since then, I got a better table saw, but I still love having both of them. The only thing that I did was I changed these from the European style blade guides to the ball bearing ones, and it's night and day. And I have people ask me about these all the time. Do I like them? Because they're more affordable than other brands. And I bought two for the price of one pretty much with the other brands. And now that I have the bearings on them, no question, I love them. I love them more than I ever did now that I have the upgrade on there. So here I have a Craftsman drill press. I really don't use a drill press that much. I bought this when I first started. I don't regret having it because when I do need it, it's pretty handy. But what I do most of the time is I get these little kits. It doesn't matter what brand it is. You know, all kinds of brands make these little kits like this. They're full of little drill bits, and the other ones have like drill connections and stuff like that. I like doing that. If you don't want to take the work to here, those the little kits are pretty handy to take around the shop, and they're pretty cheap too. And if you're like me and lose stuff a lot, that's the way to go. Now over here behind this flag is the dust collection pipe for the miter saw. We'll get there in a second. I talked about the table saw. This one is one heck of an upgrade what I had before. I won't mention the one before. I'm not here to bash tools. This is super cool. They call it a hybrid. I think it's a cabinet table saw without the better dust collection in it, is my understanding of it. But it has a nice fence. It makes straight cuts. It's heavy. It's perfect for what I do, and it's probably more than what like a weekend hobbyist needs, but it's super, super, super nice. Over here, of course, I have dust collection going to it from the pipe over here, and I mentioned that I do a lot of resin. Make sure you check this often if you're doing resin, because it likes to clog up that hole, and then next thing you know, your whole saw is full of resin. So make sure you check that. And over here, I have Festool Track Saw, and I mentioned the Woodpeckers tool earlier. That's in the same boat as that. If I didn't have a stimulus check, I would not have that tool, and I've only used it a few times. I think that's a tool for the professional person that has a setup for it. Like if I set a table up out here for it and had the dust collection already ready and to store everything and to do it, I think it would be an excellent tool. I think I need to use it more to make more of an opinion on it. But if I didn't have that stimulus check, I would not have that. I promise you. So I also have a router table over here. I really just don't really know where I want a permanent router table. So I have this one. I can set it on the sanding table. I can set it up here. I'll show you my dust collection over there in a second. I can set it up here, hook the dust collection up to it, and it's pretty convenient for me, but I do know that I need to find some kind of solution, whether it's at the end of the table saw or build it into the table, something like that. Underneath these tables is everything, all the tools and accessories that go with the table saw are over here. All of the extra blades and things like that for the bandsaws. I have some jigs I've made that's Every tool for every tool in here is under this table. Like even the Airline system, all the extra parts and pieces for that are under here. So that's what I'm gonna do moving forward. Is this was just full of scrap wood, to be honest with you, before, and now I'll have a solution to that later. But this table is the center of the shop. It's like the heartbeat of your shop, so it needs to be kind of figured out, I would think. This is probably the most used tool in my shop. I get shop vac from Rigid and then the Oneida Dust Deputy. I can't say enough about it. I use it when I'm turning and sanding. I use it on that router table I just showed you. I vacuum the shop with it. I use it every day. So anytime that there's anything needed cleaned up or some kind of dust collection that needs to be mobile, this is what I use and it works outstanding. My most popular video by far is the Dust Topper versus Dust Deputy comparison video. It blows my mind, but that is my most popular video. And we'll come over here to the miter saw station and I'll show you how the Dust Stopper works. So over here we have another Rigid vac and we have the Dust Stopper right here. It's a bucket with a little cyclone thingy on top of it. And then I have it hooked to eye socket switch. That is hooked up to the miter saw. So every time you pull the trigger, it turns on the vacuum and then it stays on for a little while after you're done cutting. So it cleans the lines out. It's super cool. It works like a charm every time. There's obviously a comparison video on it, so if you want to watch that, go ahead. But I'm happy with it sitting right here. It lives right here all the time. I never move it, and I have dust collection that I'm actually going to use every time right here. So I'll go ahead and show you. I'll pull the trigger on the saw, and you can listen. You can be able to hear the vacuum come on and how long it stays on. Now the more convenient you're going to make dust collection, the more often you're going to use it, and that's perfect. I'd like to hook that up to everything if I could. While we're here, we can talk about these Airlines. I have these all over the shop. I did a video on Airline in your shop. This is part of it. It goes all the way around here, and when we get over to the other side of the shop, I'll show you where it comes in and how I did it. But super convenient. I got air all the way around the shop. Super cool, nice stuff. This miter saw station is the most useful thing I've ever made. It's from Jay Bates Plans. There'll be a link to his plans below. Go down there and support that guy. But I made this. I was a brand new woodworker. The plans are super easy. Obviously, I was able to do it. It's the most useful thing in my shop. Tons of storage. I have all kinds of stuff in here. I actually made these boxes on top just to keep track of the scores. If people don't know about the flags, Green Bay is my team that I'm a fan of, so that stays in the middle every time. And then every year, somebody will send me a flag. So last year's was the Falcons and Steelers. Those are going to go back to whoever sent me the little sign that I made. Will go back to them. Next year's is going to be the Saints. JD from Dimensions Woodwork sent me the Saints, and then I got the Bucks flag because, let's face it, we're going to talk too much about football, but that's why this goes on up here. Super cool. Matter of fact, the first flag that anybody sent me was the Lions flag from Jay Bates. Appreciate it, Jay. Once again, go check out his plans below, and then moving on. I've had this CNC machine for years. The dust collection works good on it. The machine is awesome. I got it because I was doing multiples of things, and that kind of changed, and now I prototype things with it. At some point in time, I do want to get a bigger one, but this is an awesome machine. The crate that it came in is right here, and it just kind of becomes a catch-all. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take that crate, and I'm going to turn it into boxes over here for wood storage. All of the scraps that I had in that other table earlier are all going to be separated here into the different kinds of wood, and then I'll have some racks up here to put wood on, and over here will be sheet good storage. All future projects, by the way, so stay tuned for that. I have a mini split in here. This was undersized for this building, but now that I've built the resin room, it's been 100 degrees here this year already, and it's been pretty bearable in this space. We'll talk about the AC for the resin room in a second, but this was severely undersized and it's actually keeping up now. So I'm pretty happy with that. So let's move around and see the lathe. So here's where I'm going to be turning things. Here's my Harbor Freight lathe. It was given to me by David Birch. He's actually one of the guys that helped me build this resin room. Super cool, TX Woodworks on Instagram. You can see this beam up here. It's not on accident, and it's not to support the building. All it's supposed to do, I have electrical outlets up there, and I also am going to have cameras, so I can do live shows or help with filming out here. I can hang lights from there. That thing is going to be super helpful in the filming process of what I do. Now this cart right here has everything having to do with turning is in this cart right now, and it needs to go on this wall. So future project again, it's just one of those deals I have to do one thing at a time. I'm going to film everything, so any ideas, French cleats, PVC pipes, whatever kind of ideas you have on there, don't be afraid to put it below. I'm always down with some constructive criticism. I have this airline here. Before I built the building, it was so far away from the wall that I would pull the line over and knock everything off tables and everything. So I'm pretty excited about having air right here. And of course it runs all the way over to the wall and then goes to another, like a shed that I have over there that has the compressor in it, so I don't have to listen to it. So let's come around the corner and check that out. First thing, here's the Eastwood Mig 135 welder. I have it in a plasma cutter. I got it in a package deal. I have some other metalworking tools in that shed that I talked about where the air compressor lives, but I didn't want to take this out there. Obviously there's gas and that out there is not temperature controlled, so I don't want to blow stuff up, I guess. Let me get this out of the way. So all of these lines right here from the house, I have a coaxial cable and 2 Ethernet cables ran, and they're right here. So the coaxial goes, I have a modem in the house and I have a modem in the resin room. So I have a bunch of extras so that if I want to do it out here, I can do it. I can just hook an Ethernet cable up. This goes in there and it's hooked up right now, so we'll see that in a second. Underneath here, the airline from the other shop, I had to dig trenches and all kinds of manual labor went into this. But I have air right here, and the air comes in there and it goes up and goes over to where I just showed you, and then it goes to the back of this building and goes into the resin room. So we'll check that out in a second. Super happy to have that air hooked up like that. Now this right here is a wood stabilizing station. You got the oven here. This is just a cart. I just have it stored on this right now. When I would actually go through it, I won't have the cactus juice next to the oven, so just keep that in mind. This is a temporary solution. I just put it on the cart so I can move it around and get it out of the way while we were building this thing. These burls down here are from Worldwide Burl. They're on Instagram. They have auction every day, but what I plan on doing is having shelves up here and storing all the burls, and then when I get finished with them, I'll have Tupperware containers to keep them airtight, and then they'll be up here too, so I can know what stage of the process these things are in. Super excited to get started doing that. So I have this toolbox here, and it's from Sam's actually. I used to be a professional mechanic. I got rid of all that stuff, but I still kept my regular, like normal everyday tools. Things you might need around the house, and just easy fixes on cars are all in here. And then you notice a bunch of orange. I'm not sponsored by Rigid, but I'm just like everybody else. I don't want to have 3 different styles of batteries. The first thing I liked from the Rigid was the lights, and I wanted this as cordless router also. I thought it was pretty cool, so I bought them, and then you just end up, the other tools that you want, you get them with the same brand because you just don't want to buy all kinds of different batteries. Now this battery charging station, I have the double charger here and a single charger here, and I have a timer, and this thing is really cool because you can set it for, it just has presets, and you can go from a certain time of day, certain time of day. You can program in what time you want it to do it. Like I do it from 6 o'clock in the morning to 8 o'clock in the morning. So this thing will charge, these will be charging for 2 hours before I get here. Super cool. I'll see about putting a link to that below. Super happy with these tools. Well, once again, I'm not sponsored. This is just I wanted to buy one kind of battery. So we're about to go in the resin room. We built this thing in 6 days. There is a video on it. I'll put a link up there and below. Matt and David, both, I had them both sign it right here. Super awesome. Go check those guys out. Now let's get in the resin room. First thing we're gonna notice is that it's super bright in here, and I did that on purpose. I do a lot of resin casting, and I want everything to be bright, and so that way the colors that I'm pouring are easier to see and vibrant and nice to look at. The other thing we notice is that there is an echo. We're just gonna get through it today, but I wanted to have it on here to show you a before, because there's upcoming projects. I do have the materials to fix it already. I'm gonna do a few things in here first, and then the soundproofing will be done after that. So I'll have a couple of, the upcoming content is fixing this room to how I want it to do live shows and all the kind of stuff like that. So now let's talk about the room right now. The first thing is the air line that came from the other shop that went over here that I have by the lathe. Goes over the building and it comes in right here. Pressure pots are a big part of resin casting, so I have an air line in here. It goes right to that. Super convenient. This table right here is 6 feet by 3 feet, and anything having to do with resin casting, my resins and stir sticks and timers, temperature guns, the eye candy pigments, mica powders, are all up there. So whenever I'm doing a live, people pick colors, and I have everything at my disposal right here. Super convenient. This table right here has everything to do with live shows. You got the webcams. Here's the webcam. Then you have these other ones, TV, the monitor, the computer, all the hookups. Everything I have to do with a live show is right here. So the next plan is I have a bigger monitor. There was a sale, so I had a bigger monitor. I can't see this. You know, people middle-aged or close to middle-aged and know what I'm talking about. This is too far away from that table. It's too small to see. I can wear glasses. It doesn't help. So when you're trying to read comments, this is not helping me at all. So I'm gonna hang a TV from the ceiling like you would in a living room or a bedroom or whatever. But that's gonna be the very next video, is gonna be me hanging a TV from the ceiling. And then after that, the webcams and everything, I'm gonna build an overhead shelf, if you will, that I can hang the webcams from. I'm gonna hang the computer from there. Everything that's on this table is gonna be above this table and built around that monitor, so that, and I can start building soundproofing around that. So this table right here will be completely out of here. And we'll look at the next table. We'll look at that modem first. We have the coaxial that goes from over there all the way to in here. It's nicely installed here. And I just screwed this thing right to the wall. So this goes from the service, from the street, all the way out here and have good internet. A lot of effort went into having good internet out here. So as of right now, I just have an Ethernet cable going over to the back of the computer. All of this stuff will be tucked up. As soon as all that stuff in the middle is built, that stuff will be tucked up. Here's that TV stand and the mount it's gonna mount to, because it's kind of in between joists, is gonna be some unnecessary walnut. We're gonna mount it up there with some walnut. This table right here, the reason why I have two different tables is resin is gonna be over there, and I do a lot of silicone work too. So silicone will be over here. So I'll be able to hang this from the ceiling over here when I'm doing resin, and then be able to move it to this side. And the TV is gonna do a 360. So I'll be able to do this either way. The reason why is silicone is a total different mess and process and different tools and equipment than the resin casting. So it's easier for me to turn the TV around and move some cameras rather than move the whole processor thing like that. That's what's in my head anyway. I already have some silicones under here, and the resin table is the same way. I have the ALUMILITE clear slow. I use that. That's my favorite, and my silicone of choice is ALUMILITE Plat 25. Links below, Jake 10 at checkout. There you go. So anything having to do with silicone is going to be over here. I got a vacuum chamber, and I actually have a bunch of extra computer stuff and things like that. Now, I need to make a charging station for let's say the lav mics and there's all kinds of other stuff that needs charged, and I'll put a timer on that also. But this whole section over here is going to be for silicone. I do make some things, and this table over here is going to be for, I'll have the things set up that I'm going to pour into and leveled and everything, and I'll be able to use this table for pouring and this table over here for mixing. And obviously I'll be able to have cameras come along the wall and record what I'm doing on the walls. The plan for this corner is to be a photo booth and get like a light booth over here. I put a outlet on the ceiling over here just to hang lights from and things like this. These tables are going to move a little bit as the projects get done in here. So this will be a photo booth over here, and then along this wall will be product storage and things like that. So this will kind of, things will come along. I just had this, I already had this shelf, but I'll obviously make things cooler as we go. But you have silicone molds. I have pin blanks down here, just stuff and the equipment, cups and things for resin casting. I got a little painting from Sophie. This air conditioner is Mr. Cool. Matt, one of the guys that helped me, did an install video on his channel. Go check it out. I'll have a link below. This thing is awesome. It's been up to 104 already, and this place doesn't move off of 68 degrees. You can't even hear it. I'm standing right next to it, and I bet you can't hear it. So totally happy with that air conditioner, and if I had it to do over again, I would buy that same air conditioner. It's pretty nice. So I've been asked about why I did the L shape on this building, and it's twofold. One, I wanted a nook in here so I can kind of make an office / podcast area. So what I'm going to do is this will be easy to block off. I can put a blanket right here, or just a temporary wall with the sound deadening blankets or whatever. I can decorate this back here. I can soundproof this, make it acoustically good for podcasting, and I can edit videos right here. I can do all the kind of stuff right here, out of camera shot of when I'm doing lives. And then the other side of it is where the lathe is outside, it creates a nook for that, for filming out there. And that's why I wanted it L-shaped, and I'm pretty happy with it so far. I think it's going to be super cool for filming lathe work and in here and podcasts, and it's going to be way easy to make this sound good in this little area. Now I'm going to have challenges out here, but over here should be easier, and I can make this a good place to not only just edit videos, but do podcasts and do things online. I've done a couple lives out of here so far, and the hot topic is ventilation. Now, there are plans to do it. We built this thing in 6 days. The cost of materials is through the roof right now. Thank you, COVID. I have an air conditioner right here, and on that end of the building is the doors. So you can crack the door. This thing has a turbo mode on it, and it will blow everything out of here. Now they make things you can install on the wall that have the vents, the louvers on the outside, and I'm looking at those, and I haven't decided on which one I'm going to get yet, but I am going to get one. It is in the works. So people concerned for my safety as far as ventilation goes, I appreciate you, and plans are on the way to get it done. I almost forgot to talk about the floor in the shop. It's from You Coat It. It's an epoxy floor, has the paint chips in it. It's real nice. Some people come in here and say it's a little slick. It doesn't bother me, but it might bother you. It's super nice. When you go to clean it up, you just sweep, and then you get a bucket and a mop, and you take care of it. I think that's it for the shop tour. Stay tuned for all the future projects, and I appreciate you guys making it to the end of the video. We'll see y'all next time, and y'all be good.